Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here with the patch notes. Actually having to re-record this because they edited the patch notes after I recorded the first video. But let's jump in and take a look at what we're getting for Path of Champions. So we have the 3 champions coming out with this expansion, all being added to Path of Champions. That is great to see. First up, we have Nyla, first star power. The first fleeting card you play each round is copied. That is obviously going to be crazy. You're really going to want to use the Gravedigger Spade on her because that's giving you 1 extra draw and making it fleeting. So consistently playing at least 1 fleeting card every round to get that copied will be absolutely massive. One of the best, or really the best power in the game is copying the first card you play each round. And the fact you're kind of getting that in just your normal star power is pretty crazy. For your second star power, you get that +1 starting mana. Then create a copy of the first 2 cards you discard each round in your deck, then draw 1 fleeting at next round start for each. So when you discard a card, you're actually still creating copies in your deck, and then if you're able to do that, you're creating fleeting cards at the start of the next round, which is very important because you need fleeting cards for your first star power. Next up, for the third star power, each round, copy the first 2 fleeting units or spells you play. So this is really interesting. Both of these star powers are actually changed from the first time I recorded this. This said it was 3, and then the wording here was different. And they also changed the wording down here for Volibear. Kind of a mess, but also the fact that your first star power says just copy the first fleeting card you play. Then down here they're specifying that it's units or spells. Little weird. Anyways, each round the first 2 fleeting cards you play are going to get copied, which again, very, very strong. You just have to be sure you're discarding cards and that you're playing fleeting cards. Overall though, these star powers seem like they'll be very, very strong. For Jaina, your first star power, when you play a cost reduced card, reduce the cost of the top card in your deck by 1. This is actually going to be very strong because you're already updrafting some spells, so you're shuffling them back into your deck and reducing them down by 1. Then this star power is also reducing down cards on the top of your deck. And then if you have Jaina on the board, when you draw a card, she is also reducing it down. So even though this says you're reducing it down by 1, you also have a lot of other cost reductions going on. So you're going to be playing these cards for crazy cheap. For your second star power, when you play a cost reduced card, grant the weakest ally 1/1. So again, just as you're playing your cards naturally, you're going to be buffing up your units, which is going to be quite strong. Then for your third star power, when you play a cost reduced card, reduce the cost of the top card in your deck by 2. Now, I would think that this is able to stack, so if you play a couple cost-reduced cards in a round, the top card in your deck is going to keep getting discounted every time you play a card. That's how I would imagine that would work, and that means you're going to get some, again, crazy cost reduction going on. Next up for Volibear, your first star power, when you slay a unit, summon a Sigil of the Storm. That is going to be very strong because those Sigils of the Storm reduce down the cost of your Titanic units, such as Volibear himself. So a great way to incentivize you to slay enemy units, and this is going to give you some specific cost reduction for your bigger units. Really great to see this. Wish some of the other decks like Ornn or Nasus had something similar. For your second star power, +1 starting mana, when you summon a Titanic unit, it strikes the weakest enemy. Wow, they even changed this as well. So this used to say it strikes the strongest enemy. So essentially all of your Titanic units, so that's any unit that has 8 health or power, get Stalker's Blade for free. So just when you play it, just going to strike the weakest enemy. This is going to be great for slaying more units, summoning more Sigils of the Storm. And all of this is going to really feed into leveling up a Volibear, which requires you to deal 50 damage. Then your third star power, when you slay a unit, summon 2 Sigils of the Storm. I really like these proactive powers that reward you for playing a certain way. So as long as you're able to slay units, which this could be your own units as well, you're rewarded with these Sigils of the Storm to bring out your stronger units, which then when you can play them, can strike the weakest enemies and then summon more Sigils of the Storm. Really excited about Volibear the most, but I think all 3 of these are going to be very, very powerful. We will have to wait to see what we get for their starting decks, but so far, I think these star powers look pretty solid, and honestly better than I was expecting. But that's not all we got for Path of Champions. We also got some new powers, new items, so let's take a look at those. First up for new powers, Elemental Winds. Spells and skills deal 2 more damage, and this is going to be rare. So essentially, you're getting Annie's star powers for free. This is going to be really, really solid for a lot of decks. I think this will be very fun to play with. And man, I'm really going to need to update a lot of my guides because the game is really changing and I'm so excited for it. Next up, we have Mystic Meditation. Round start, grant spells in hand, -1 cost. And this is epic. This actually isn't going to be that great for too many champions, but if you're a champion that has a lot of big spells in hand that you want to get reduced down, this will help get you that consistent cost reduction. Quite often though, just having something like Spell Slinger where all your spells just cost 1 less by default will work out better for you, but this will be pretty good for some champions. Next up, we have Titanic Wake. When you summon a unit with 8 attack, health, or cost, grant it 8/8. Now this does feel a little bit more like a win more power since you're already summoning such a big unit, but you're essentially doubling its stats, and this will just be a lot of fun to play with. Next up we have the Arumi Shield, not quite sure, but when you play a spell, heal 1, if it's elemental, heal 2. Not sure if that heal 1 is on your units or your nexus, but just getting some extra sustain will be quite nice to have. Next up for items, these are specifically for your spells. So Storm Calling, manifest a Titanic unit, and create a offering. Now we don't know what an offering is. Previously up here for Volibear, they said offering as well. Now they replaced the offering with Sigil of the Storm, so not sure if that's supposed to be a Sigil of the Storm down here. We really don't know. But manifesting a Titanic unit should be quite fun, although obviously expensive. Power Rift, I cost 1 less for each card you've drawn this round. Now there's not too many decks that draw that many cards, but there's a couple, and so this will help you out there, especially for some of the decks like Nyla or Jaina, where you are going to want to get some draw on your decks. Next up we have Hero's Call, draw a unit. So this is going on your spell, so when you play the spell, you're then drawing a unit, just to make sure that you are having a good balance of cards, and having some more focused draw can be quite nice. Then we also have Pyromantic Wake, deal 3 to the enemy nexus. And this is just common, so this is going to be a lot of fun to play with, especially if you're able to get this on some of the spells you're able to generate. So some champions like Annie or Master Yi are able to generate spells. So getting this on a cheap spell you can just play fairly consistently will really help you just burn down the enemy nexus. And that will be a lot of fun. I can't believe this is just common. That's probably going to be nerfed. Last up for spells, though, we have Arumi, create a Slipstream in hand. So that's a 1-cost burst, draw 2, but make them fleeting. So it could be pretty solid, especially for some of the champions up here. Next up for unit items, we have Excavator's Charge. When you play a card, give me 1/1 this round. And it's rare. I don't think this will be too strong, but if you're able to play a lot of spells in a round, it definitely can help you push a little bit of extra damage or just make your unit survive. Next we have Titanify, so grow my stats to 8/8, and this is a rare item. This will be great if you can get this on some of your cheaper units. Like imagine if you're playing Kindred and you're able to get this on your Prey, so all of your Prey are suddenly 8/8. This can be a lot of fun to play around with. Then we have Anti-Up, -2 cost and fleeting, and this is just a common item. I think this is going to be very strong because that -2 cost will mean you normally can play it that round. And this is going to be great for both Nyla and Jaina because Nyla wants that fleeting and Jaina wants that cost reduction. So this will pair great for both of them. Next up then we have the Coral Crush Gauntlets. Brash and 1 power. That's a common item. And let's also talk about the Tech Evolution, Augment, and Tech. So again, giving someone a keyword, and then also the Tech subtype. These are both quite good. They're very similar to the rare item, the like Dragon Tooth Necklace, where you get 1/1 and Fury. There's a lot of decks that want to get a lot of different keywords, so getting some more common items that can give you those keywords will be quite nice. And then the extra stat is nice, and then getting that Tech subtype will be pretty niche, but will help out Nico level up if you're able to see that upgrade on any of the cards. Last up then we have Arcane Knowledge, draw a spell. So this is a unit item that you play the unit, it draws a spell, and then there's a hero call up here that you're playing a spell and drawing a unit. So pretty nice synergy there, so you're not running out of spells or units. Overall, this is a very big patch for Path of Champions. We're getting 3 new champions. They all seem like they have very strong star powers, and then we're getting a whole bunch of new powers and items. This is going to really shift up how we play the game, and I am all here for it. Last up, there's some miscellaneous items. For one, they're not quite giving us that Stardust for beating Aurelian Soul, so it's not going to be in this patch, but it is still coming. Then they said they're taking the Green Shard offers out of the shop. These are all kind of changes that we've already seen or they already implemented, but they're just kind of listing it in the patch notes. So the Green Shard offers are gone temporarily. Now there's a new Stardust offer where people can buy that Epic Relic slot, which is pretty good. They changed the Epic Relics to now be called Spirit Forge, and they're increasing the refresh rate for the coin offers in the Imperium, or Emporium, which is going to be quite nice. Also, they say down here that they've granted all players the 500 Stardust. I think that's already happened, so if you've been playing, don't expect 500 more. I think you've already gotten this, but if anyone you know hasn't logged into the game, they might want to do that before November 8th to get that free Stardust. Alright, that's it for these patch notes. I hope they don't change them again when I try to edit this video for the second time. Really looking forward to this patch. We're getting a lot of content. Once the patch drops tomorrow, I'm going to be making tons of content on it, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of that. Thank you for watching. Massive shout out to all my members going that extra mile supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.